What's up, everyone? And welcome back. I'm on my laptop again, and I got me Metal Mike with me.
Hooah, 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 hooah.
And after, gosh, how long has it been since we did this one? A year, maybe two, but we're back to finally
A
do
year.
a year. Yeah, a year. But we're back to do ACDC Part 2, the Brian Johnson years. So this is the biggest one of their catalog, obviously. Obviously, we went into how we got into that. We don't really need to do all that. So we would just get, let's just get straight into this because this is going to be, we're going to be here for quite a bit for this. So obviously, where we left off was we talked about Highway to Hell, and that was the last one with Bond. Unfortunately, between this and the next one, unfortunately, Bond passed away. Um, Whatever it was, but it probably had something to do with alcohol. But the band were contemplating they should end it or continue, and they had decided to continue, and it was to get a new vocalist. Enter Brian Johnson from Geordie, which were kind of, if you were to hear him in this and in Geordie, his vocal styles are completely different. He goes, whereas he does all that stuff, and even he did like he was on Slash's Blues album, I think Orgy of the Dam recently, and his vocal style is so much different from that than in ACDC. But he comes into the band at this point, and obviously the rest is history, and we get to now talk about Back in Black. Like, yes, we're finally getting into the long year of this band. So, Mike, start us off, would you?
Shit, Back in Black. Well, hold on. I'm reading. Well, Back in Black came out in 1980. Came out in 1980 by Angus Young, Malcolm Young, right after the band lost their lead singer, Bon Scott. Shame.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, lineup for this band. This is the beginning of the classic, the Black and the iconic Back in Black lineup featuring Phil Rudd, Cliff Williams, Malcolm Young, Angus Young, and the newest lead singer of AC/DC came from a band called Geordie, Brian Johnson. And Brian Johnson rules. I think Brian Johnson is one of the most important replacement singers in heavy metal and classic rock. Same thing could be said for Ronnie James Dio when he covered for Black Sabbath. This is like AC/DC's version of that same thing. Yeah, that's my take on Back in Black. Great album. Great album. What do you think, Ryan?
Well, yes, obviously you said great freaking album from start to finish. Obviously, I also have it on CD, but I decided to pull out the vinyl because it's very, very huge. Obviously, it's not much I could say. Plain black, kind of got a cool center on it. If you think about it, but yeah, obviously it opens up with Hell's Bells. Now, obviously, we know that ACDC isn't really known for heavy metal. You know, they're mostly a hard rock band. But there are a couple of times in their career where they've gone down the heavy metal route. And Hell's Bells is one of those. One of those times they went down that heavy metal sound. Just the whole sound of it just sounds doom driven, like easily very doomed. Just how just the sound alone and how slow and methodical it is just very doom metal like easily. And then obviously I think the rest of it is pretty much kind of your standard bearer ACDC song. Shoot the Thrill is another great song. What Do You Do for Money? Giving the Dog a Bone. There's definitely some underrated gems like Giving the Dog a Bone. Let Me Put My Love Into You. Before we also get to, well, I got on obviously it's on Vital. Get to basically side 2 is the meat and potatoes of this album. You get into the title track, just that iconic dan 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 dan, and then the I can't do that the lick, but it's just like, you know what I'm saying about this. Just Back in Black, an iconic song. Then it goes into another iconic song, You Shook Me All Night Long, just kind of like your standard rock song, but it's a classic. Then you get to Have a Drink on Me. You kind of get to another kind of a more of like a kind of just like a good song in Shake a Leg before the album closes out with Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution, another classic song to end basically a fantastic beginning and a classic AC/DC album nonetheless. I think in my notes had this being a 10. I kind of would want to retract that because while I love this album, it's not really freaking perfect, but it's still a classic. It's a fantastic album. I'd probably give it 9.75. It's a great album. Love it all the way through. Just Back in Black, a great first outing, where they had doubts if they wanted to continue, but obviously they decided to continue, having Brian come on board, and freaking fantastic debut for Brian Johnson. So, what would you give this, a rating wise, Mike?
Personally,
I give it a fantastic. It's a 9.75, easily a great album.
It's almost a perfect album. I give it a 9 out of 10. The only song I'm sick of hearing, and I don't like it, is "You Shook Me All Night Long." I could live without hearing "You Shook Me All Night Long." I could live without hearing that ever again. But I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Giving the Dog a Bone. Shake a Leg, man. That is a fucking great Angus Young guitar solo in Shake a Leg. Oh my god, it's good stuff. There's a lot of good stuff on this album. Especially the production. This is the second album with Mutt Lange.
Yeah, that is. He only does 3 albums with the band, and they're all freaking banger albums. So that's Highway to Hell, this album, and the next one we're about to talk about. So obviously, how do you follow up with a classic album like Back in Black with another classic album? For those about to rock, we salute you. In my opinion, an underrated gem from this band, and my personal favorite AC/DC album of all time. But obviously, Mike, your go. What are your thoughts on For Those About to Rock, We Salute You?
What do I think about For Those About to We Salute You? A fucking 10. To me, it's a 10 out of 10 album. There's not one bad track off this album. I mean, I'll go through some of my favorite songs on this album. I mean, personally, this album has some of Phil Rudd's best drumming is on this album and the next album, in my opinion. He's doing some really good technical drum stuff on this album.
I couldn't agree with you more. This is probably... I've never really cared for Phil Rudd as a drummer, but this is arguably his best drumming performance on an AC/DC album, bar none.
I mean, come on. His bombastic drumming on Put the Finger on You. Let's get it up. Inject the Venom. Evil Walk. D.O.D. And another great closer, Spellbound. Oh my god, such a great closing song to the album. Night of the Long Knives, Breaking the Rules. There's not really a weak song at all on this album. It's relentless. It just punches you right in the face. Bam, one after another. Bam, one after another.
Fuck.
And it's just good. It's good fucking heavy metal rock and roll. Heavy rock and roll at its best.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
And the production is great.
Yeah, abso-freaking-lutely. Yeah. Like I said, the last one was Rubber Jumping Land, and obviously it was a great build-up from Highway to Hell to Back in Black to this freaking album, and this is easily, without a doubt, my favorite AC/DC album of all time. It's another fantastic album. Like you said, every song on here, the title track, just freaking fantastic. Just that Inject the Venom is probably one of my favorite AC/DC album songs. Snowballed, a fast-paced, hard-rocking song. The guitar solo on Snowballed, so good and quick and freaking tasty. Love it. Oh, yeah, see, Evil Walks, great. COD calling out the devil, freaking great. Breaking the rules. Just everything about it. If there was ever I can't say there's ever been a perfect AC/DC album for me, but if there was, this is damn near freaking close to being freaking perfect. Like, everything about this. And I was listening to this yesterday, and it's just like, I can't argue or overstate how freaking amazing this album is. It is, from start to finish, I think, arguably, in my opinion, the best AC/DC album of all time. There's just nothing else to say. You know what? Screw it. Perfect. It's perfect. This album's perfect. 10 out of 10. Screw it. This whole album, there's no weak moments. The production is fantastic from Robert, and he nails it. This is the last thing he does, because he went to go to Def Leppard after this, and he'd do 3 albums with them. But his last with AC/DC, a freaking fantastic album from front to back. Just like you said, Mike, there isn't a weak song on this album at all. And if I was to say, as much as I gush over another album we'll talk about later, this is the best one. This is arguably the best AC/DC album ever, in my opinion. I don't know about you, Mike, but this is a perfect album. Like, bar none when it comes to AC/DC. And now I guess you could kind of say we get into a part of the band's era where it's starting to get a little bit, I'm just gonna say this is kind of a forgettable era when it comes to the band. We get to Flick of the Switch, which is basically, like you said, I think like you said, I think I can agree with you on the music side of this. It's basically the same kind of. They did the same performance they did on this. It's just that I think, for me, why I think this is weaker than For Those About to Rock is just that for me there just wasn't any memorable songs on this one. And while we'll say there isn't a bad thing as an AC/DC album, I think for me this is probably their weakest. I mean, coming off of such a freaking fantastic album, it's just like, I don't know. I think at least to me, this is probably their worst album. But there isn't a bad AC/DC album, but I think this is a good AC/DC album, which would probably mean it's a 7 out of 10 for me. So, Mike, obviously, your turn.
Well, we go into the history of Flicking the Switch. This album would be the last studio. What is up, boy? Sorry.
What is up,
that sort of thing.
Yes, yeah, like you said, this is the last.
1980. This is the last studio album for a while to feature Phil Rudd on drums. If anybody knows what happened, supposedly right after finishing up recording all 12 drum tracks, it is Phil Rudd on all 12 songs. They had a second guy come in by the name of DJ Wolf.
I do want to correct you. It's 10 songs, not 12. There's 10 on here.
10, my bad, 10 songs. Supposedly Phil and Malcolm got into a fight. Malcolm Young sacked Phil Rudd from the band. Phil left right before they were going to start doing filming for their singles for the album to get ready for the world tour that would be coming up. Which, look at the Switch, was a different time period for ECDC because you just got done dealing with Mutt Lange, and the band wanted to go back to their roots. They wanted to make something raw and energetic. And man, look at the Switch is a great album. I do disagree with you, Ryan. There are some songs that stand out on this album. This is a three-headed monster of an album. I really think so. I mean, the opener, Rising Power, great song. This house is on fire, another great song. The title track, Look at the Switch, Nervous Shakedown, the fucking fast pumping, fast drumming, Landslide, Guns for Hire, Deep in the Hole, Bedlam in Belgium, Badlands, Brain Shake. This is still a strong album. There's not many filler tracks on this album. I think it's a strong album. It's right there with For Those About to Rock. It's not as great as Back in Black, but it's in neck and neck, toe to toe with For Those About to Rock, in my opinion. Any given day, I can go put on Flick and Switch, and it just keeps getting better every time I listen to it. It's a grower. Album gets a solid 8 out of 10. No complaint. Ryan?
Yep. I can agree with you that the music is. I do think musically, both For Those About to Rock and this are very, very similar. Like I said, this just feels like a continuation of what they were doing on this album. But I think at the time when I was listening to this, because remember, this was a while ago I had listened to this. So it had been a while since I had listened to all of them. So maybe at some point I will definitely give this another chance, but I don't think it's ever going to top this. Just how fantastic this one is. This. But yeah, but again, agree to disagree in this case. After this, there was an EP they put out called 74 Jailbreak. I wanted to briefly mention it here, which is just kind of like it's basically Bond. It was that High Voltage Dirty Deeds lineup, which had Mark Evans on bass and Bon Scott on vocals. Hopefully if I can find a CD of it, we'll get it. But then we get to obviously this period with the band was kind of damn you. But then we get, obviously, because that was the last, you said that this was the last one with Phil Rudd. Obviously they get a new guy, Simon Wright, obviously. He comes in after all the stuff that happened on he was doing the touring for the album, but this is his first official album. We get Fly on the Wall. For me,
I can start it off.
Obviously with me, I'm usually, if we're doing track by track, it's usually those who are doing track by tracks will go last in this case, so I'll go here. I have simple notes about this one. Production was it was very raw, and at least it was confusing for me, but this was kind of in a period in between this album and then we get to Razor's Edge, where it was just like, it was there. This era was kind of just forgettable when it came to AC/DC, pretty much. Musically, it is in that zone in between those two albums I've mentioned. It's kind of where everything but the drums have the RE sound, the drums have the For Those About to Rock sound. It has the drums sound like they would fit on this as well. It's kind of that weird zone for me. But I think it's another good AC/DC album. It's near the bottom for me, and it's just, I think this is just kind of an area where they weren't in the mainstream at this point, considering this was what year was this? 85 or something like that, or 85, 86, I believe. This came out in 85. Yeah, this was kind of an era where it was like what was dominating the metal scene was that glam and the thrash stuff at this point. So it was kind of, any of those
Yeah.
bands from the 70s we're kind of lost in the shuffle, basically. But yep, Mike, take it away. I wonder what your opinion is on this album.
Woohoo! All right, here we go. Fly on the Wall. Not. There's a couple songs that are filler, but for the most part, Fly on the Wall is still a kick-ass album. I mean, the production isn't the best, but the production doesn't hurt the album a little bit. I kind of like the harsh production on the album. I do like Malcolm's guitar tone on this album. Kind of has a very sharper, grittier guitar sound on this album. I mean, the title track, Fly on the Wall, killer. Shake Your Foundations is really good. First Blood's good. Don't Care Too Much for Danger. Play with Girls is a fun song. You have Stand Up, Hell or High Water, Back in Business, Send for the Man. I mean, again, this is an album I can play a video game, I can put it on the background, and I can relax to it on the background. Solid album. Solid 7 out of 10. It's not horrible, but you're still going to enjoy listening to it. Ryan?
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. I think we both share in the same area of a 7, because I had to be in another good AC/DC album, which is in that 7 out of 10 area for me.
Also, for a minute, the album artwork isn't the greatest, too. I noticed that when I listen to this album, we'll look at the album art for it, and it's just kind of bland. Is it me, or am I just like?
It's just you got the AC/DC logo, and you got Fly on the Wall. You got a fly that's in one, and you got one of the holes that has an eye in there. Yeah, that's kind of.
And it's just a wood. And it's a wood fence. Not the best looking AC/DC album art by any means.
Yeah, it's just, there's better. I can think of better AC/DC albums than that. Better artwork, AC/DC artworks than that. Alrighty, we get to another one. This one's kind of an interesting one. Blow Up Your Video, kind of the last one with Simon Wright.
Wait.
Yes.
I want to tie in Who Made Who to Fly on the Wall, because that album had 3 original songs, and the Who Made Who tour started right after Fly on the Wall. So I just want to say, Who Made Who? Great compilation album. But the downside to Who Made Who is that it was a movie album for not so much a great movie, Maximum Overdrive. We're not going to go into that. But Who Made Who's not a bad album. If you want to get started into listening to AC/DC, for any beginners out there, they'll pick up Who Made Who, because that's a compilation album. And then with 3 original songs from Brian on there.
Yeah, absolutely. But yes, obviously you mentioned that. I mentioned 74 Jailbreak. So now that we're kind of even. Okay, now we can move on to Blow Up Your Video. Last album with Simon on the drums, and this is, I believe, also because they're coming back for one album to produce this album. Harry Vanda and George Young.
I own original pressing CD.
Not
a remaster, an original.
Yep, but obviously this has Harry Vanda and George Young. They come back. At least I think this is probably, their last one they ever did with AC/DC, I believe. And then they wouldn't do another one after that.
Yeah.
I have written down A Step in the Right Direction. But ultimately, yet another good AC/DC. It has a mix of the 80s sound along with the sound that would predominantly be on the next one after this. But still, like I said, a good album, but, it's definitely in the right direction. It's making improvements at this point. So, Mike, go for it.
Oh, what can you say about Blow Up Your Video? This album kicked ass, I think. Another deep album where AC/DC has some really great gems, some deep track songs on this album. This is another album where I can put it in the background, listen to it, relax, enjoy it. There's not really any song I hate on this album. I mean, Heat Seeker, fast, heavy song. That's the Way I Want to Rock and Roll. The Epic Mean Streak, Go Zone. I like Simon Wright's drum sound on Kissing Dynamite. Some cool, fun stuff he does on there. Nick of Time's a barn burner of a song. Something for Nothing's good. Rough Stuff's good too. And then the fast, the heavy, very metal. This means war. Oh man, that's such a that's a fast song, even for AC/DC. I mean, like you said, Harry Vanda.
And George Young come
came
back
out
just
in
one last album. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great album. So another 7 out of 10 ranking.
Yeah.
Ryan?
I did want to mention before we move on. Obviously, this is the last one with Simon Wright. Obviously, I think when he was on these two albums, he was just, he didn't bring any. He was just doing what needed to be done for AC/DC. I think, and I would think you would agree with me. He would be better in Dio because he would be out of this and be in Dio after this. If I'm correct, so he would be a better drummer after these. He was just doing what was needed to be done, which is staying in the pocket, not do anything much. Granted, I think him and Phil were pretty much the same, with just stay. They could have some fills here and there, but I think it's mostly staying, being kind of like the rhythm and stuff like that. I think with Simon Wright, he does get better after this, But yes, Simon Wright.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, he definitely gets better after this one. But yes, we come to obviously there is that came out in 88, I believe. Yeah, 88. Then this one, well, we get to 1990. Oh boy, do we have a difference in opinions of this album?
Get ready for controversy.
The Razor's Edge. Oh yeah, we have a difference of opinions on this, and obviously this is one that I'm going to do. So, Mike, take it away, because you're the one that's just like the summary. Now I'm going over everything about this album.
Oh, will you stop it? Let's throw this garbage in the trash. This album stinks.
No!
This album sucks. This album blows, man. Razor's Edge blows. Except for 3 songs that I like. Other than that, this album blows. This is the worst album AC/DC has ever put out. This album is still better than Van Hagar. All you Sammy Hagar fans out there. Razor's Edge is still better, and yet the Razor's Edge blows. So, I'll give you my ranking. Thunderstruck. Never want to hear it again. Terrible song. Fire Your Gun. Great song. Fast, heavy. I love that song. Money Talk. It's okay. The Razor's Edge. Great title track. I do like The Razor's Edge. That is such a fucking heavy. That's the heaviest guitar sound Angus Young has ever put out. Razor's Edge title track. I do like the guitar sound on that song. Mistress for Christmas. Rock Your Heart Out. I really like that song because of Cliff Williams is doing some really tasty bass line licks on that song. That's a good song. Are You Ready? More like Are You Ready to Puke? Yeah. Got You by the Balls. Don't care for it. Shot of Love. Could care less. Goodbye, Get Riddance to Bad Luck. Goodbye. Never Knew Ya. If You Dare. It's catchy, but it does nothing for me. This album for me is a solid. I only like 3 songs. It's a 5 out of 10. It's not that good of an AC/DC album. You heard it here, folks. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay. Well, you shed all over this because considering the fact I did kind of say there isn't a bad AC/DC album, considering the fact that I have Flick of the Switch, so it's kind of even. But unlike him, I absolutely love this album. Everything, Thunderstruck, freaking love it. Love it. Fire Your Guns. I can kind of agree with you. Great song. Money Talks. I like it. Razor's Edge is probably. I mentioned about the whole metal. This is a. Razor's Edge is yet another kind of a metal song. I don't know about This Means War from Blow Up Your Video, but this got them back in the spotlight, in the mainstream again. Whether you can hate it or not, I love it. I know you freaking hate it. This helped AC/DC get back in the mainstream because of Thunderstruck. It got them back in the mainstream, and that everybody knows about them after this. And it's like, yeah, Mistress for Christmas, I like it. Rock Your Heart Out, Are You Ready? Which was, I think, an intro for SmackDown for a bit. But yeah, just everything about this album for me is I like this album. It's a great album all the way through. Got some great songs on here. And yeah, this would probably be, I mean, yeah, you had it at 5. I give this an 8. Difference of opinions when it comes to this one, but this is one of my favorite AC/DC albums. Oh, I can't say it's better than this. I can't say it's better than For Those About to Rock, but I can't even say it's better than Back to Black, but it's a damn good in that top 5 in somewhere, maybe even podium. But I absolutely love this album. Alrighty, next up. I hope you have it. I don't know if you do, but we get to Ball Breaker. If I can find it in my book here. Ball Breaker.
Of course I have. Of course, right. And not another. So you have. I have the original. This is an original '95 pressing.
I think this is mine. I think mine is too. East West Records, I believe.
East West Records, hell yeah!
Yep, I got it. We got the original, baby. Yeah. Alrighty. Yes, I will obviously with me because this is one I didn't want to go over. So this is what you think. So I'll go. Yep. I was about to go. I was gonna go into this considering what you just said and all that stuff because obviously they did do a single in between this and Razor's Edge with Big Gun. A great single that was on Last Action Hero, and that was the last thing Chris Slade did. And then at some point, Phil Rudd comes back. This is his first album back, and holy crap, they got Rick Rubin on this. And it's also co-produced by Mike Frazier, who also co-produced the last album. Or he might have mixed, I believe, on mixed Razor's Edge. Going into this, I was going to shit all over this album, considering what you just said about Razor's Edge. Because I was like, I don't care if it's Phil Rudd. They freaking did Chris Slade dirty by letting him go and bringing Phil Rudd back. Considering everything that happened with the altercation back in the 80s. It's like what the hell? But upon listening to this whole thing, I am pleasantly and surprisingly shocked at how much I really, really like this album. Basically, if these two had a freaking baby, it'd be this album right here. Phil picked up right where he left off on Flick and Switch and For Those About to Rock on here, and it's also got kind of still has mix of that album and some early AC/DC sounds on here. It's a combination of those two, but mainly it's a combination of these two albums right here. Literally, that's what it is. It's like Phil picked up where he left off on this, but kind of still got that modern sound from Razor's Edge. It is. I have to say, it's a great album. I love it. But, I can't believe I've said that. It's a fantastic album from AC/DC. Mike, take it away now.
I told you this is a fantastic album. Oh man,
I hated myself for that. I hate myself that I like it that much. Dang it.
Oh man, this is such a great return to form for AC/DC. This is probably Brian's dirtiest album. Some of those lyrics are just nasty. Gross. Nasty. Alright, let's get into it. Ball Breaker. Speaking of Ball Breaker, I don't know if anybody has it, but the live, I also have Noble Live, one of the live shows from the tour for the album.
Nice.
But yeah, Ball Breaker. Fucking great album. Hard as a Rock, Cover You in Oil, The Fuhrer, Dark, Boogeyman, Nasty, The Honey Roll, Burning Alive, Hail Caesar, Love Bomb. Hell, fucking Caught with Their Pants Down is catchy. Whiskey on the Rocks, Ball Breaker. Not a weak song on this album. They pick up where they left off. And frankly, this album's a fucking 8 out of 10 in my opinion. There's not a bad song on here. It grooves. It's fucking great album, people. Go check out Ball Breaker. Ryan.
Yeah, I wanted to point out the artwork, the CD booklet. If you look at this, if I can, let me put myself up real quick. Like you can see the whole thing. It looks like it's kind of like a comic book a little bit. I didn't realize that until I pulled it out. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's like a comic book a little bit and stuff. It's pretty cool packaging.
Yeah.
I will admit that. Even for something like this, it's like a goddamn comic book. I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
But yes, then we don't not much else change after this because this would be the lineup from here on out, all the way to the end until probably say we only got 3 albums with this lineup again. Stiff Upper Lip is the next one. This one came out, I believe, either 2000 or 2001.
2000.
Yeah, 2000. February 28th, 2000. Yep. Yeah, February 28th, 2000. I was just like, it's kind of one of those. I listened to this album and I was like, I was thinking this was gonna go back to kind of being like another weak album, but I was surprised at how, it was a good album. It was a great album. It's like I don't think they make a weak album from here on out after all of this. It's just like it makes some really consistently great albums, sometimes fantastic. But Stiff Upper Lip, I have an overall good / different.
Great album.
Obviously, I think it's a good album, but I don't think it's their best. It is a consistently sometimes good to great album. Yeah, I would probably give it that 8 out of 10 or somewhere around there for me, but not much else I could say about this one. So, Mike, take it away.
I don't hate Stiff Upper Lip. The only downside is this album's kind of long for AC/DC. And it drags a bit in certain songs. I feel like there's a little too much slower songs on here, not enough, high energy songs. Title track's great. Stiff Upper Lip's a great title track. Meltdown's good. I would replace House of Jazz with the song Cyberspace, which was a demo recorded in the studio during the Stiff Upper Lip session, and that song is used on Backtrack. I would swap that. Hold Me Back, okay. Safe in New York City is a great song. Can't Stand Still. And then we get kind of just whatever. Can't Stop Rock and Roll, Satellite Blues, Damn, Come and Get It, All Screwed Up, Gave It Up. It's an okay album. I go back to Stiff Upper Lip sometimes, but it's a drag to listen to. It's 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I had it here where it's kind of an album to listen to at a party, but other than that, I probably won't go back to it. It's kind of one of those kind of albums where you could pop it in like a party or something like that. You're doing something, you're like, yeah, let's put on Stiff Upper Lip or something like that. It's kind of one of those albums. After this, there's kind of a big gap, like an 8-year gap, I believe, after this album.
8 years.
Yeah, 8 years. And this obviously I was kind of getting into this band around this time period. And then they come out with the with this album right here. Black Eyes. Black
Black
Eyes.
Eyes. Oh, that's great.
This came
I like
out
it.
October 17th, 2008. This was the first AC/DC album I ever bought when it came out in 2008. So this was the first one for me. I was a senior in high school when I bought this album. Also,
I would have been in middle school.
this was the last one. This one's the
Would have
last
been in
one.
middle.
This was the last one with Malcolm on rhythm guitars as he would lead the band due to, dementia and stuff like that. But I think for me, kind of went back to the style of Ball Breaker with one song that I think, in my opinion, on the album being a dud, which is Anything Goes. I never really liked it when I first listened to it back in the day, and I still don't. It's just like it's an okay song, but it's just everything else. But everything else, it is a fantastic album. That is probably the weak moment on the album. So, yeah, Mike, go for it.
What can I say about Black Ice? This album came out when I started middle school. So I would have just been starting middle school when Black Ice came out.
I remember
seeing it everywhere in Walmart. Walmart was heavily promoting this album.
They would have it. Yeah, definitely.
I think I even got that album around that time. Yeah.
Yeah, same here. It was, like I said, I got it around
and
that time.
And I think with that album also, this album also had different colors.
Yes, there was
logo.
The book one, it had a blue, but there was a red one. There was a blue one. Yeah, but I think
there was the yellow one too, supposedly.
Yeah, I had the red one. That was the one that I got. Because at the time, red was my favorite
supposedly
color.
Supposedly out there, there is a double CD version of Black Ice that was also came out around that time too.
I didn't know about that.
That's rare.
Interesting.
That split the album up on 2 discs.
Huh.
But this album's just a little too long. This is the longest AC/DC album they've put out.
Yeah.
I mean, Rock and Roll Train's catchy. Skies on Fire, Big Jack.
Yep.
I really don't care about anything. I call just like Ralph Fierro calls it, anything blows. Anything blows.
Yeah, but I think those first three tracks are freaking fantastic. You open up with that and you go into anything else, like, ugh, what were they thinking? Like, God, ugh.
You go into War Machine, which is a great song. Smash and Grab's the filler. Poor Fight, Decibel. I really like Stormy Mayday. That thing is young using a slide guitar on that song. She likes Rock and Roll, Money Made, Rock and Roll Dream, Rock and All the Way. Then the title track, Black Ice. It's a great album. The tour was good too, from what I heard for the album.
Yep. But yep, like I said, that would end up being the last one that Malcolm is on, and then obviously the dementia thing, and they get I believe Angus and Malcolm's, I think, cousin or nephew, Stevie Young.
Nephew.
But Malcolm does have writing. Nephew. Okay, but Malcolm does have some writing credits on this album. And this is also, I believe, the shortest album AC/DC has done in their career. So it's really, really short. Like, it's like 11 songs. Like, all the songs are relative. Like, it's all the songs are around the 3 to 2 minute mark. And it's really, really short. This is the last one on, and this is the last one, I believe, this is the last one on the book because, but yeah, I think from what I
bring the elephant. Oh, sorry, Ryan. I was going to bring up the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say trouble again.
Yeah, but I was going to say a short and really, really fun album that I might listen to again from time to time. I think a great album, another 8 in that 8 out of 10 range. So, Mike.
When this album came out first, I didn't care too much for it. I also saw the tour on this album. I didn't see Axl. I saw him with Brian. I was at the
Nice.
show that was in New Jersey, and they played some deep cuts. They played Have a Drink on Me, High Voltage. They played a lot of deep cuts when I saw them live. Rock or Bust. It's an album. Actually, surprisingly, this is the album I don't go to a whole lot. This is the least fun album in the AC/DC discography, surprising. But there's not a bad song on here. Rock or Bust, Play Ball, Rock the Blues Away, Misadventure. Songs of War, a catchy song. Got some Rock and Roll Thunder, Hard Times, Baptism by Fire, Rock the Hell, Sweet Candy, Emission Control. Not a bad album, but I want to talk about the elephant in the room. Phil Rudd gets into trouble again and has to leave the band, and
Slay comes back. We were gonna go. Yeah, we were. Yes, we were going to mention this in between this and the next one. Yes, obviously you said Phil Rudd had trouble. They don't mention it in the book because it only goes up to Rock or Bust on here. But in between that, yes, Rudd has to leave at this point.
And Malcolm passes away.
What's up? I'm almost done here. Anyway, yes. Obviously, Phil gets into trouble. Slade comes back, but they also get Axl Rose. I'm like, why? And then we get to come to the album. We get to Power Up. We get to Power Up here. Power Up. Up.
Oh, it's a great.
Yes, but somehow Phil and Brian come back in time for this album. So yes, I've written here as short as I can. It has its great moments like the first and last two tracks, but the middle section having a few dozen songs being consistently good. I think I had it at 9.75, but I'm thinking this is another great one, another 8 out of 10. So, Mike, take it away from here. Be right back.
Power Up. Great way. You have Phil Rudd coming back. You have Brian Johnson coming back. You have Cliff. You have Stevie. So it's a great album. I mean, this would be 5 years since Power Up came out in 2020. And that was what the world needed then, some healing from AC/DC. And great album. Like I said, I can't remember the songs too much off my head, but Mist of Time's a great song. Kick You When You're Down, Code Red, Shot in the Dark.
Yeah.
And like I said, Phil Rudd, Brian Johnson came back. They didn't miss a beat. Sounded like the usual motion. Yeah. And then of course the tour would come up later, and Phil Rudd not being able to travel, having Matt Log come in, and
who is also another fantastic drummer. Matt Log is a fantastic. I will say Matt Log is a fantastic drummer. I don't know if you've listened to his drumming on that one Snake Pit album I mentioned, but my God, he's a fantastic drummer, and I know he can get the job done in AC/DC. So yeah, basically that's. Cliff is no longer there either. He retired.
Cliff is retired, but there is a rumor going around. The last few shows, it's just rumors, but it's already been spread. There's some Australian newspapers. Matt Loud was in contact with Phil, as well as Angus was in contact with Phil, and Stevie was in contact with Cliff about the last few shows of the current tour are going to be farewell shows.
Ooh.
And supposedly Angus wants Phil to be a part of the farewell shows.
No, but like you said, it's a rumor, but let's hope not. But if that is, well, hell of a career for this band. So yes, that reaches our end of the albums.
Yeah.
Let's get into. We have two
And-
separate rankings. We have two separate
and
rankings. We have
command-
one for this one and then the overall ranking. Did we even do a ranking for part one?
Yeah.
With just the 5? I think we did. Yeah.
I
Okay.
think so, but I
Let's
forgot.
go. Let's go.
I forgot.
We'll have to go back and watch it later. But yes, let's get to the part 2 ranking here. Since there's only 11 albums, my number 11 is Flick of the Switch. What's your number 11?
Razor's Edge.
Okay. Yeah, it is what it is. My number 10, Fly on the Wall.
Stiff upper lip.
My number 9 is Blow Up Your Video.
Rocker Bust.
Oh, wow, that low. My number 8, Stiff Upper Lip.
Black Ice.
Ooh. Number 7, Rocker Bust for me. What's your number 7, Mike?
Fly on the Wall.
And number 6 for me is Black Ice.
Damn, fuck. Blow Up Your Video for number 6.
Number 5 for me is Power Up.
That's where we're gonna read there. 5 for me is Power Up.
All right. Number 4, Ball Breaker.
Okay, controversy, people. Get your pitchforks ready. At number 4, I'm putting Back in Black at number 4.
Whoa!
Back in Black at number 4.
Oh wow! Oh wow! That is all right. My number 3, Razor's Edge. What's your number 3?
Number 3. I'm gonna go with For Those About to Rock.
Number 2 for me, Back in Black.
Okay. Number 2, Ball Breaker.
I think you should know what number 1 is. My number 1 right there. I think for part 2, and I think it's also.
I didn't get my number 1.
Yeah, what's your number 1?
Look at the Switch, man. Look at the Switch, man.
Wow,
sure.
That is. Alrighty. Let me get the overall ranking here. This is everything for part 1 and part 2. My numbers, well, this means there's 16 albums. My number 16, Flick of the Switch.
16. Okay, so now we're overall. Overall, 16 is going to be Rocker Bust.
Okay. Wow, what overall? I thought you would have thought Razor's Edge. Holy, that's something. I didn't see that coming.
No, I tricked you. It is Razor's Edge. You fell for it.
God dang. Oh, God. Alrighty. Alright, you got me. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Alrighty. Enough. Okay. My number 15. Okay, yeah. Okay, my number 15, Fly on the Wall.
Stiff upper lip.
This might be controversy, but my number 14, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap.
Pitchfork that man. He's crazy.
That's what I have on here.
What number are we at?
14.
Black Ice.
My number 13, Power Rage.
13, We're gonna go fly on the wall at 13.
My number 12, blow up your video.
High voltage.
You will segue right into my number 11, high voltage. The international version is my number 11. And I love that album. All of these 11 and onward are really, really close. What is your number 11?
What albums did I say? Because now I might be getting confused.
Let me think. You said Razor's Edge is 16, and you had... Oof.
Stiff Upper Lip.
Then you had 14. I know you said your number 12 is High Voltage, because that segued into my number 11.
Yeah.
My number 12, Blow Up.
And then I had Black Ice in the lower tier, too. I think I had Rocker Bus in the lower tier as well.
Yeah. All right, and then I get to my number 10, Let There Be Rock.
Number 10, we're going to go with, surprisingly, number 10 is Ball Breaker here.
Oh, wow. That's a little, wow. Okay, number 9 for me, Stiff Upper Lip.
Number 9, Blow Up Your Video for me.
Number 8, Rocker Bust.
Number 8 for me would be Power Up.
Number 7, Black Ice for me.
Seven for me would be Dirty Deeds.
Done. Yeah. Number 6, Power Up.
All right, number 6 for me is going to be For Those About to Rock. We salute you.
Number 5, the highest Bond album for me, Highway to Hell.
Number 5 for me is Powerage.
Number 4, Ball Breaker.
4 is Back in Black.
Number 3, Razor's Edge.
Number 3 is Flick of the Switch.
Number 2, Back in Black.
Number 2 is going to be Highway to Hell. Fucking love that album.
Wow. And my overall number 1, For Those About to Rock, we salute you.
And my number 1, fucking Let There Be Rock. That album's so much fun.
Yep. Alrighty. So you got anything, obviously closing remarks, and you got anything planned here in the future?
I have a band in the future we could do, Ryan.
Like video? I meant like videos or anything like that. That's what... Yeah, obviously. I meant like videos and stuff like that. You got any videos planned or any closing remarks about AC/DC?
No, not really. Although I might have a stream in mind later on. Be on the lookout for that, people.
Yep. I think for me, obviously with some more streams or something like that. Obviously with some deep dives, obviously for me here on the channel. If it does not happen near the end of the month, I think the next stream for me is probably going to be with the other Mike, Kingdom Swords Mike, where we will talk about Shape of Despair, Funeral Doom Band. So that's probably sometime in February. And then after that, it is also probably going to be Dream Theater, and Ben's going to be in there. So here are some of his. He's got Stiff Upper Lip at number 11. Number 10 is Razor's Edge. His number 9 is Rocker Bust. His number 8 is Fly on the Wall. Number 7 is Black Eyes. Number 6, I think these are part 2s. So yeah, Ben's gonna be there for the Dream Theater one. No, but I think those are some. So I was gonna have one near the end of the month of this month, which was gonna be the Creed and Friends, but that might not be happening now. So I'm putting that on hold for now. But yeah, I think the next deep dive I'm going to be doing is going to be Shape of Despair with the other Mike, Kingdom Swords Mike. So, yep, it's been an hour. We're going to get out of here. Finally got all this done. So,
yeah, man, keep things metal, people.
Yep.
Keep things metal, people.
If y'all enjoyed this, click the like button or the dislike. Comment below your thoughts on all these albums from AC/DC, especially the Brian stuff. And if you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button. So yes, thank y'all for watching. This has been our part 2 of the AC/DC deep dive, the Brian Johnson years. We will see y'all later. And as always, keep things metal.